This video is brought to you by Fallen Dominion Studios. Check out their website at fallendominionstudios.com. Hey there folks, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a little kingdom building game, and it's a kind of a sequel that's based off, a standalone sequel that's based off of another popular game you've probably heard about by now. It was, I think, a Spiel des Jahres winner, Queendomino. This one is, I guess, his wife, Queendomino. And anyway, in this game, and by the way, this is by Blue Orange Games. This is about 25 minutes, 2 to 4 players, about 8, ranges 8 and up. By designer Bruno Cathala. Got some really cool looking artwork on the front here. It's a tile laying game where you're trying to build up your kingdom, but it's a little bit more. It's got some nice little twists in there. It's got a little economy where you can buy buildings. You can actually upgrade your tiles to be worth more, and there's just so many cool little facets to this game. But anyway, let me get you over the table. I'm just going to give you a quick brief overview of how it plays, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts. As you can tell, we've already kind of been in the middle of the game, got a little cash built up. I got some knights right here that go into my little setup area. Got my little castle, which is awesome. And I guess it's supposed to house little mini people. And, you know, I see a few dominoes already connected. The first domino you're going to have is kind of a wild. You can kind of connect it to this main tile right here. But that's basically how you get started. Then you're going to collect dominoes as you go. Now, the way this is going to work is you're going to have the first thing you're going to do, you're going to be playing against your opponents to try to gain these domino tiles, the ones that you want that will connect to your kingdom as it is, okay? So, for example, my color is the red. The other player would be the white, okay? So whoever's turn it is going to place down their king on what they want first. So for example, I've got, you know, some of this yellow area, these fields, I've got some of this swamp, and I've got some of this forest area. I may want to try to get something that's going to connect to that. Another thing you're going to be looking at is also how many crowns you can actually get, because crowns are going to gain you a lot of points at the end of the game. The red area is going to be for building tiles, okay? That's going to be able to be something you buy from the market to actually place here later on. So here I'm going to go ahead and choose this top one because it's got a forest and a building area, and that way I can actually buy some buildings, get some modifiers for victory points later on. I can gain coins through it, towers, knights, you name it. So I'm going to place there. Well, the next player is going to place here, and so I'm going, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this one until all these places are filled up, and then in that order we take the dominoes. So for example, the first one I'm going to take here, and then I'm going to find the place where it matches. So for example, right here it matches forest to forest. It matches right there, so I'm going to go ahead and place it. Now, if you look here on my kingdom, you see the forest area, it's got 2 crowns in it, okay? Because the crowns are going to be modifiers or even multipliers by the end of the game for victory points. That's something you're going to want to look at, and you want to try to gain in any kind of matching tiles that you get or areas that you create, okay? So that's something. And then we're going to go ahead and take the next one because I'm next in line again, because it goes in descending order. And if you look, I've got a swamp tile and a forest tile, and it's got 2 crowns on it. And check it out. It actually matches. At least one side has to match the other, one of the other matching sides in your kingdom. And right there, it's got 2 crowns on it, okay? And then the other player is going to take theirs as well, and then so on and so forth. And now you have this new domino tile set ready for the next round, and we're not going to flip these until the next round, but when the next round starts, these get flipped. And now I've got some choices to make once I've chosen my dominoes, okay? As you can see, I've got a really cool layout. I've got now 2 forest areas because this part has not connected to this part. It's a little bit of a disconnect here because of that building area. If you notice, I do have 1 red building area though, and so now I have several choices I can make. I could go ahead and buy a building if I want to, or I could actually go and send one or two of my knights out to tax a domino area that I just laid down. It's got to be a whole territory. So for example, I just laid this one down, okay? It's connected to this other area, but that creates one territory. And so what I can do is I can go ahead and lay this guy down, this little knight down, on that domino, and that's going to gain me a coin for each area in that territory that matches, okay? Each square, all right? I got to do it again with another domino that I just laid down in a different spot. So, for example, if I wanted to do it right here in this forest spot, well, I've got two right here, two squares that make up one territory, so I gain 2 more coins if I want to. All right, so that's how knights work. I can access my building economy here. I can actually look and go, okay, I want to buy a building that I can build on my red area here. And there's $5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. That's what the costs are going to be. And so do I want to buy this one for 3 coins? It's worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. It also gives me 3 knights immediately, okay? I could also buy this one that shows that in-game scoring, I'm going to gain 2 points for each field area that I have or territory that are out there by the end of the game. I could also gain this one. And not only does that give me a tower, which I can then place out on the board, but it also gives me a point for each tower that I have at the end of the game. Or I could go ahead and buy this one. This one gives me a knight, but it also is a modifier for the end of the game. For every knight I have, I get a victory point. See, I've already got 2 knights on the board, so that would give me 2 victory points automatically at the end of the game. So a lot of these buildings are going to be strategic for your modifiers at the end of the game. So let's say, for example, I go ahead and buy this one, and it's $4, okay? And I would pay that $4 out of my supply, and then I now build that on my kingdom in that red area. Okay, and you flip it over to the red side to show that it's built. And then I can go ahead and put my tower out on it, okay? Now here's the kicker. Once you get a tower out, you'll attract the queen over to your kingdom, the person who actually has the most towers. And in the game, you're going to have kind of a race with that person who has the most towers. The queen will just join whoever has the most at that time. And, you know, there's also a tiebreaker in there. But anyway, she also counts for discounts for building. So she gives you a 1 coin discount. So, for example, this one that costs 1 would be 0, right? And then at the same time, at the end of the game, she counts for an extra crown at the end of the game. And whichever most expansive territory you want to put her in, so it can kind of give you another modifier to give you more victory points. One more thing that you can do on your turn, and also if you do not have the queen in your kingdom, is you can bribe the dragon to burn one of these buildings. So if you see somebody who's actually, doing certain modifiers to gain certain abilities and victory points at the end of the game, and you can tell that one of those buildings is going to help them, well, you can go, hey, Mr. Dragon, I'm going to pay you a coin. Go and blow that building up. So, for example, let's blow this one up. This one goes off the board, it's discarded, it never comes back, and the dragon, as long as it was still in its cave to begin with, the dragon gets to go out and now covers that spot, okay? Now, it can be kind of Now, at the end of the round, the dragon's going to go back to its cave, all the buildings are going to slide down to the cheapest spots, and then now the new buildings that are going to come out are going to fill up the new spots. Now, at the end of the game, you're going to want to go ahead and count up your victory points. There's a ton of modifiers we talked about with the buildings. The rule book will explain a little bit more. But just to give you an example, what you're going to do is you're going to take the crowns off each territory, okay, and you're going to multiply them by the number of squares. So, for example, you have 1 crown here, 2 crowns here. So that means 2 crowns total times 1, 2, okay? And that means you've got 4 points. Now, if you look here, that forest was not connected there, and it also didn't have any crowns on its own, so it's worth nothing. This right here, the swamp, has 2 crowns, and it's got 2 squares. Again, another 4 points. You got another one here that's got the field that's got one crown and 2 squares. That's 2 points. And then also modifiers, for example, for the building, you've got 1 tower. Well, for the building square allows you to have a modifier of 1 point per tower, so you get an extra point there. And also at the end of the game, every 3 coins counts as a point. And say we were to put the queen in one of these particular areas, she's gonna count as another crown. So if we were to put her in the forest area, you're gonna have 3 crowns times 2, so that's 6 points instead. Person with the most points at the end of the game wins. So what do I think of Queendomino? Well, let's go ahead and start with different categories. Number 1, production. Production quality is quite good. I really like these dominoes. Number 1, I love the colors. If you want to get me like intrigued into a game, now this isn't like across the board, but if you want to get me intrigued into a game, make it bright and shiny and colorful, and that's going to catch my eye. Of course, that's going to do that for a lot of people, right? They're going to at least go, what is this game? I like the look of it, the artwork's nice, and everything else. Now, I want to just, clarify, I have not played Queendomino yet. My co-host Brian's got that game, and I've been wanting to try it out just to give a comparison, but I haven't tried it. From what I understand, it's extraordinarily simple compared to this. This one's got some extra added rules and layers on it versus what Queendomino has. I like the extra added complexity to it. Now, is this a game for beginners? I'm close to saying yes. I think that while Queendomino probably is mainly for beginners to start with, it's a great way. It's like a great gateway game. This one would be kind of almost next stepper for me. And again, I got to play Queendomino to make that. I'm just making assumptions here based on what I know about it. But let me go into production. One thing I like is how thick these dominoes are, how beautiful the tiles are, okay? On the tiles, you're going to see what's going on. You're going to see little people moving around, doing different things on them, and they're very clearly delineated out, so you know what you're placing out, you know what you're getting when you actually choose it, okay? I love the little castles, 3D castles, that's cool. I really like the towers, the money, everything in this game screams quality. Now, it's by Blue Orange Games, and almost every game I've ever seen of theirs screams quality. So already I'm drawn in. I also like the idea that in this game you can actually do what we call the Royal Wedding, and you can actually combine Queendomino and Queendomino. We haven't done that yet, but I really like the fact that they made it interchangeable, right? It's a standalone in a way, an expansion, but at the same time it's also a base game of its own, but it works with the original Queendomino. And I liked also the idea that you could possibly work on teams. And another thing I really like about this game is the fact that you can change the grid sizes depending on what variant you want to go to. You can do more of an advanced variant if you want to. So there's a lot of cool ways you can tailor the game for your style. When it comes to mechanics, I do like the little choosing feature where you got the 4 dominoes laid out and you got the 4 right next to it, and then you get to see what's coming up so you can plan your strategy. That's a really cool thing for me. I like that idea because it gives me a little bit of a foreshadowing. It helps me to know which direction I want to go when it comes to planning my kingdom, and that's cool. I also like the extra little layer of the market economy here. I like the fact that when you're actually, when you're actually buying buildings, well, number 1, I like the fact you have a dragon in there and you can actually destroy a building to stop an opponent from getting it. That's awesome. It's kind of an indirect take that to me, but anyway, you can kind of tell which way an opponent's going, and you can go, well, I think they might get that building because look at all the stuff they've got there, all these modifiers that can work with certain buildings. So let me go ahead and destroy that. That's a cool feature, and I like that. Number 2, I like the idea that the buildings, as you get them, continue to move down, but it's going down in price, and I like that because then you can plan ahead for what's coming up. That's another cool feature I like. And I really like the idea of the modifiers. I like how the tiles, if you get a certain number of tiles together, it's going to count more towards your points if they're matching tiles. And I also like some of the towers that come in the game to where, you have like certain modifiers on certain buildings. So the more towers that you have, the more coins you get, and I like the idea also that I think it's the most towers you get. It's like a tower race. Person with more towers is going to have the queen come in, and the queen gets you discounts and in-game scoring and things like that. And so, yeah, there's a lot of really cool little things to really, really like about this game. If I was going to point to any negatives, now again, this is a perceived negative. This isn't necessarily going to be a negative for everyone, but this could be a little bit of a negative for some people. It's going to be that in-game scoring. Yes, you're keeping track of it on your score pad, but a lot of people aren't going to want to play that way. Just being honest, a lot of people want to jump in and just keep going and going and going and going and going and working on their strategy rather than taking time to fill in on the notepad the score that they have, and so the in-game scoring could be for some people a mathematics chore. Again, it's not that bad. I'm just saying that it could be for some people. For me, the game was great. I enjoyed it. Is it a game that I would want to pull out all the time? No, it depends on the group, not necessarily. I had a few people that weren't a huge fan of it. They liked the idea, but they weren't like as big a fan of it as some of the other folks I know. My co-host Brian, for one, he really loves this game. But for me, where would I put it on a rating scale as of right now? Right now, I'm looking at this as about... probably about a 7 maybe. It's a good game, but it's not necessarily one that I jump into all the time. It's not necessarily one that I'm going to want to pull out and play all the time. This is more of a slight abstract game than it really is a thematic game. It's got a lot of really cool little fun twists and turns and intricacies to it. And again, I love the modifiers. I love the fact that you can do so much, like, you know, take your knights to tax different lands and get money from it and things like that. So I mean, a little bit of thematic flair in there, but ultimately it's kind of an abstract tile laying game, and it's fun, like I say. But is it for me? Yeah, you know, I could take it or leave it. My wife would probably enjoy it quite a bit. We haven't played it yet, but like I say, for me, it's okay. But anyway, it might be something that you like, right? Not every game's for every person, right? Because I automatically can tell you this game is extraordinarily well designed, as pretty much almost every one of Bruno Cathala's games are. And so I would recommend you at least go take a look at it. Again, this might be the game of the year for you. Who knows? So anyway, thank you so much again for watching the Dice Odyssey videos. I'm Kaz. I appreciate you coming in. And hey, please comment down below if you played Queendomino. Have you played Kingdomino? Is that more your style of game? Have you had a chance to compare the two? Thank you so much. You have a blessed day, and game away.